Hey, it's Shanty, and welcome back to Peace with Shanty. As your self care coach and mentor, I wanted to check in with you and just give you some tips um, of what you can do when you're not feeling too great. I was having a conversation the other day, and it revolved around depression. And it doesn't even have to be labeled depression. Sometimes that's the word that we use when we don't know what other emotion that we can tie our feelings to. So sometimes we might use the word depression or depressed. Maybe I should say depressed. I'm going to say we're going to use the word depressed instead of depression. And the conversation that I was having the other day, it was like when you think that you're depressed, but you really aren't. So to me, what that means is that you don't feel depressed, but you don't feel great either. You just feel, blah. And I know a lot about blahness. Before I took it upon myself to do things to change the way that I was feeling mentally and emotionally, I felt blah. I kid you not, I felt blah. Maybe if I said every day, you would think that I was exaggerating, but the moments where I felt good, even content, was very slim to none. Maybe a few times out of the year. So I know what it feels like to have that feeling on you of like, okay, I don't want to say that I'm depressed, but I don't feel great. And I don't know what this is. So I wanted to just come in and give you some some resources or some tips that you could try. I know that they have been really, really helpful for me as well as for other people. So one of the things that I can give to you is that when you are not feeling that great, um, check in with yourself mentally and ask yourself, is there something, excuse me, is there something that needs my attention mentally that I have been avoiding or that I've been pushing away? Sometimes when we don't have the mental capacity to sit down and think our way through things, we tend not to give that situation or that circumstance any thought time. So ask yourself, am I pushing anything away mentally that I said, okay, I just don't feel like I want to deal with right now? I would say that if that has been your experience, write down whatever that thing is that you've been putting off, that you don't have time to think about, that you don't want to deal with, that you don't want to worry about. Write that thing down and schedule some time sooner than later. I would say schedule some time in the upcoming week to just sit down with that circumstance on the paper. Sit down with it for about what, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, to see what type of um, other thoughts come up for you and write those down. See what type of solutions might come up for you, because now you're giving yourself some time to figure out what you've been pushing away. And also, when it comes to the mental tip that I wanted to share with you, check in with yourself to see if there is a desire that you've been having, that you've been setting to the side, and you say, well, I don't have time for that right now. When you allow yourself to think about what your desires are, it allows your mind to kind of go to a place of like imagination and happier moments. And by you doing that, it kind of takes you away from that blindness for a while, or that depressed feeling. If you give yourself the time to acknowledge your desire, perhaps in that moment you could start making some type of arrangements to get yourself on track of actually achieving that desire, materializing that desire. And it doesn't even have to be anything big. Let's just say you've had a desire to read a book, right? Just a really good book. Well, okay, you can sit down to say, all right, well, I've been having a desire to read a good book. You can make a plan to go buy a book or go rent a book from the library. That right there is showing yourself that you can mentally um, check in with yourself to see, what are you needing? What am I missing? What do I need to take care of? And giving yourself the time to mentally create a plan to take care of it. The next tip that I have is actually labeling your emotions. When you don't label your emotions, you might just use the word depressed, where if you sit down, or even if you don't have to sit to do this. I would just say 3 times a day, 3 times a day, in the morning, midday, before you lay down, check in with yourself and say, how am I feeling? Because maybe it's not depressed. Maybe it's, I'm confused right now, or I'm frustrated, I'm overwhelmed right now, I'm uncertain. If you were to give yourself moments to acknowledge what your real emotions are, that helps you to start to feel more in control of the emotion, and not like you're being weighed down by the sensation or the the feeling of being depressed. There's a thing that I started using years ago when I was in therapy, actually. I printed out myself a feeling wheel, and I use that feeling wheel even to this day. And on that feeling wheel, it's got a range of emotions, right? A range of emotions. So when I am feeling some type of way, I don't just say I'm feeling some type of way. I will seriously go to my wall. I have it on my wall, and I will go and read the emotions, and I will say, okay, I think I'm feeling more um, insecure right now. And by me being aware of that emotion, it helps me to chime in on what the moment might have been that um, elevated that insecure emotion for me. When I'm aware of it, then I can do something for myself to help me to alleviate that feeling, or to help me to minimize that feeling from um, coming up or being so prominent in my life. The next thing that I want to share with you is checking in with yourself physically. I know you have probably heard before, or if you haven't, I'm going to bring it up here. Our body posture, the way that we take care of ourselves internally and externally. And when I say internally, like what are you consuming? What does your nutrition look like? Are you hydrated? Are you rested? Those types of things really do play a part on how you feel. And when your physical body is not um, refreshed and charged up, then you're running on fumes day after day after day. If that's something that you realize that you might be doing, make it, give yourself some time to say, or give yourself some time to make changes, because sometimes we'll want to rush all in and start changing your eating habits all right now. You want to do all the things, all the good things right now. Don't rush in like that. Figure out, one or two things that you want to start doing differently for yourself on a physical level. Perhaps you do want to um, get a bit more rest. Maybe instead of sleeping 4 hours, I want to really try for five, 5.5. And you start making arrangements to see what can you do in your day that could help you to lay down, to give yourself an ample amount of time to get your body used to laying down at that time, and to hopefully give yourself on a schedule get yourself on a schedule of sleeping 5.5 hours instead of 4. Another thing that I want to say, that for a physical tip, is the environments that you're in. Now, sometimes you cannot control um, all the situations that are going on around you. I mean, that's life. With that being said, where there are moments that you could give your physical body a chance to step away from the chaos and the the drama that's going on around you, if that's what you're in, if you can give your physical body that chance of, like, okay, let me step out for 2 minutes, and in those 2 minutes you acknowledge that, okay, body, I am giving you some attention. I am giving you some care in the moment, because I know that the environment is pretty tough right now. I know it's uncomfortable, but I acknowledge you, body, and I want you to know that I care about you, body, and I'm going to take care of you, and we're okay. Give that to yourself. That's you physically checking in with yourself and you physically taking care of yourself. The last thing I want to give to you is your social life. Now, for the latter half of my life, I would say that I have become quite, um, introverted, more so to myself, but there are reasons for that. Um, in my process of doing that, I also disconnected myself socially. And that wasn't the healthiest thing to do. So, my recommendation to you is that if you have made yourself really guarded, and you hold on, or you're holding on to that introvert identity, like, well, I'm an introvert, and I've got nothing, I'm not even, this is not a bash against introverts, okay? What I'm saying is that your social life, does matter. So sometimes getting yourself around different types of social interactions will help that depressed feeling to lift off of you a bit. And the thing that you want to be cautious about when doing that, when you are going to go socialize, make it a point or to know that it's really important that if you are socializing with upbeat types of personalities. I'm not saying go and put yourself in a situation where you have to try to be on guard and defend yourself from what someone might say or someone is going to go and bash you negatively. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that plan out giving yourself 30 minutes of good conversation with somebody or 30 minutes of sharing um, something important with somebody else, just like a 30-minute conversation. And it doesn't even have to be you leaving the house. Maybe you do want to call somebody. Maybe you do want to join a social group online or something to where just converse and talk about things that are important to you, talk about the things that make you feel good, and even just pouring in and giving your input. That helps that feeling of heaviness to lift off of you a bit, okay? And at the end of it all, sit in acceptance. Most often, as humans, we don't want to sit with the facts of the situations that are going on around us. There's a lot of this shouldn't be happening or this should be happening this way. And when you do that, you're going to feel awful. And rightfully so, because you're swaying back and forth from, the spectrums, and that's chaotic. So sometimes just hit the middle, which is acceptance, and say, okay, I'm aware of what's going on, or just sit in acceptance and say, let me check in and see what's going on. That's what we're going to do. You're going to sit down to give yourself time to check in to see what's going on. See what's going on with yourself mentally, emotionally, socially, physically. And once you get that awareness of what those things are, instead of wanting to push it away or wanting to wish that it was different, sit with it and say, okay, I'm aware of where I am. Now, let me make some arrangements to help myself to move from point A to point B. And at the end of all of that, in that acceptance, accept the fact that you are a soul having a human experience at the moment. You're going to go through a lot of disappointments and have challenges because you are human, and that's okay. That is to be expected. So don't beat yourself up. Don't hate yourself for it. Don't hate your life for it. Accept, man, I'm a human. And sometimes that's a little tough. Sometimes feeling these heavy emotions or sometimes having these hard thoughts is hard. And tell yourself that you're going to be okay. Tell yourself, I am okay. I'm having a hard moment. and it's only a moment, and I'm going to take care of me, and I'm going to love me, and I'm going to accept that during this humanness, during these points of being, disappointed, or during these points of feeling blah, I'm going to be okay. I am okay. That's what I wanted to check in with, or that's what I wanted to chime in with and share with you, because I know what those moments feel like. Even though I am a self-care coach and a mentor and things like that, I'm still human. And there are times where, I don't feel, the happiest. I've gotten to the point to where I feel way more content, you know. My days feel better, longer, than they have in the past years ago. So I hope that this message serves you. I want to deliver it to you with all the best light and love. And until I touch down with you again, have a peaceful day. Bye.